Well, we're back to discuss The Hateful Eight, and if you watched our review, we enjoyed it. Some of us knew that it was a kind of talking movie, and some of us didn't think that. But I will agree with you, Nick, that I thought it should have been. I think that the aspect ratio of the movie should have been more pronounced than it was, and I think that the fact that it wasn't at our screen may have had more to do with the fact that there was no masking set up.
Yeah.
I think like a good 6 or 7 inches off the top and the bottom should have been cut off by masking. That's how it typically works.
Okay.
And so it would have been a much thinner looking picture.
We didn't quite see the framing how it was intended.
We didn't see the correct framing. We saw like this sort of overblown, like you could see the gate of the camera sometimes at the top corner, and it's like you should never see that in the theater.
Right.
So it wasn't properly masked. That's something you have to do with film. Digital doesn't have that problem because it's digital.
Yeah,
it's already cleaned up for you. And, that was definitely part of it. And then the other thing that I thought was cool about the use of the super, super wide shots was that even when they were inside, they were doing a lot of things with depth. Where they would focus you in on, like when she's playing the guitar and people are coming in behind her. Every time she looks over her shoulder, it focuses back on them. So you're always, the director's telling you where to look. He's putting your eyes in certain places. Then there were a couple of shots, which were composite shots, where they had a focus on a foreground character and a background character at the same time. And it's something that you see a lot in current movies because it's a lot easier to do now.
Right.
But back then, or with that technology, it's not easy to do. Yeah, you're compositing 2 pieces of film together, or you're shooting two different takes of it with the different focus, in the. So, I thought all of that stuff was really cool. I think the cinematography was wonderful. Sure, it would have been neat if they had, like, a bunch of really cool outdoor shots, or horses and things like that going on more than there was. But I also think that what we did see wasn't nearly as impressive because it looked closer to 2:35:1, which is normal film aspect ratio, than it should have because of our particular screening, our particular presentation. And that was, there's a thread on Reddit where they've been talking about like what it really means to see it like this, and like every theater in the country that is showing it, people have been coming in and submitting reports and answering like the 5 questions they have. Like, was there an overture? Was there an intermission? Did you get a program? Was there masking on the screen?
They're secret shoppers,
and they're looking for places that are not doing it right. Like our theater, a couple of, the first day or so that they had it going, they couldn't get the film to work right, and so they were just doing the digital version instead and giving people refunds. We're not the only place that's happened to. Several have had.
Now, I was laughing because this said that it's taking place in the nation's largest cities and grandest theaters.
Hey, that's us.
I don't really think of us, maybe, but I don't think of the AMC 20 as a grand theater.
This was not a grand theater.
It's not.
And that's part of it, too. I mean, if we had seen this on, a screen that was twice as wide, it would also have been more, more impressive, more of epic to it. But there was also, like, something was going on when everything was white. There was, like, a bunch of flickering. We're talking about way more technical details than we should be.
So, but here's my question. Would you recommend someone seeing it in the movie theater over waiting and watching it on their TV at home?
Definitely.
With no intermission? I don't know.
It's
a long movie.
I think it's still probably worth seeing on a big screen, even in the digital version.
Yeah, I would see just about anything Tarantino on the big screen, but this one, I think for sure, just, I think it should be there. It'd be interesting to see what it looks like in digital, like if it's cropped correctly. If I went and saw it again, like, would it stand out more as thin and wide? And yeah, I mean, I also would say that, like, there's a lot that can be cut out of this movie. Like, a lot.
I think you could use a little more editing.
Especially in those opening chapters. It just takes so long to develop.
but
The opening part was okay. The middle was
that's the thing. It's like
the opening I like.
the first 3 chapters are like 5 or 10 minutes each, and then chapter 4 just like sit back, and it takes like an hour for
just
that one.
hanging in the bar.
I just felt like that one went on too long. It also had like the thing that I really like about Tarantino's direction in most of his movies is that he makes you fear something on the screen. He makes you worried about violence. Yeah. He makes you worried about something terrible happening, and then that thing doesn't happen, and something completely unexpected happens instead and turns the whole thing on its ear. And this movie doesn't do that.
Oh, good. That's good, because I felt
a couple
about...
with the music. Like, when they were outside with putting the spikes in the ground, the snow, like, I was sure something was going to happen there, because they kept ratcheting up that music as he was going further and further out from the...
Right.
And then, nothing. But the music tension just kept, like, building. They were definitely playing with that.
Well, that's also a thing where, like, it was the stagecoach driver and the Mexican that were doing it. And on second viewing, we now know that the outhouse is full of bodies.
Right.
And so...
Well, not the outhouse. Him to get all
he didn't want him to go all the way.
They dumped it in the well.
Oh,
right. The bodies were in the well.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
The gun parts went in the outhouse.
But yeah, like those sorts of things, like those red herring moments are totally his style. Right. What I'm saying is like in Reservoir Dogs, when you're watching Michael Madsen like torture that guy, it's the fear of what you're about to see, and then spoilers for Reservoir Dogs, it came out in 1991. Mr. Orange just pops up and shoots him out of nowhere, which Mr. Orange has been lying, possibly dead for the last 15 minutes of the film.
I love that movie.
Or in Pulp Fiction, where like the way that John Travolta's character dies is just like, oh, okay.
There was a little bit of that, like, what was the a chapter, whatever, at the end, when you got to go back in time and meet all the people before this happened, and they made those characters probably more memorable and more interesting and kind of quirky and warm and fun and interesting, like more than most of the characters in the movie.
Yes.
And you know that they're all gonna die.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there like, when's it gonna happen? Like, when's it gonna happen? They're going up the shelf to get the candy, and you're just like, fuck. When you know what's going to happen as the audience.
That scene was
hard.
A standout scene for me.
It was hard to watch.
Because it just, you knew it was coming, but it lingered so long and built so much tension that when it finally happened, it was almost like you're shocked at the violence, but you're also like relieved. It was very weird.
Well, and it also did the thing where they took all the tension out, right? They killed off everybody that we knew was going to die. Yeah. And then they make the deal with Bruce Dern that he's in on whatever they're doing.
Right.
And then it doesn't go back outside. It's inside with them, but they can hear what's going on outside. And it's like, oh, there's 2 extra guys in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We have no time to change our plan. Okay, here we go.
Yeah. That was a really good scene. I also like the scene where Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Dern sit down and talk, and then the guy's playing the piano in the background. I thought that scene was very well done.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know people get, and, I'm not telling people that they can't be outraged about things, but I know people get really worked up about Quentin Tarantino scripts and the N-word. I felt like it was appropriately used for the time period in this film. I really did. Definitely came out less than it did in Django Unchained, but then Django Unchained would have made way more sense for that. But I also felt like it did an interesting reversal at the end where Walton Goggins and Samuel L. Jackson are like the last men, quote unquote, standing, but they're slowly bleeding to death. But they like form this bond because Samuel L. Jackson is smart enough to like talk Walton Goggins into like, like we're the only 2 people not in on this thing, right?
How'd you feel about that scene at the end with with their new bonding, gleeful friendship over hanging someone? That was a little uncomfortable.
So
and that was hard to watch.
I never read the script. the script leaked and this movie was not going to get made, apparently, like a couple years ago. And he'd given it to like 4 people, like close friends, and one of them leaked it.
Oh.
And he was like, okay, I'm not making movies anymore. I'm not doing this movie anymore. And it was online and everybody could read it and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually he decided to just make it anyway. I think a lot of people were like, just make it anyway. We want to see it. I may have heard this as a rumor somewhere, but I thought for sure that one of the things that came out in the script was that Jennifer Jason Leigh was the last one alive. That she basically got one over on everybody. And that's what I was expecting to happen.
Oh, so you think it got changed?
It might have gotten changed for the sake of not being the same script that got leaked. But either way.
I kind of liked it because was it one of you? Somebody said something about, none of them have redeeming characteristics. That's why they're the Hateful Eight. And I think at the end there was sort of that glimpse of friendship, like that solidarity that those last two
Right, but they were also laughing at an absolutely horrible thing that they had just done.
Oh, yeah.
But
justice.
To be fair, they're justified in killing her. Like, she's wanted by the state that are alive.
Right.
So,
and he's the sheriff, and so
they're well within their rights to hang her. Laughing about it's kind of over the top.
Right.
But there's still and it just might reveal more about me than the movie. But there's still a point where like they really make you watch that, and I'm just like, I'm still really uncomfortable. Like, it's justified and everything, and frontier justice, but it's still a lynching. Like there's no and like one of the things I enjoyed is actually one of my favorite characters. Is it Tim Roth? That was the English guy. That was the hangman. Like all the earlier stuff with the foreshadowing about justice and what's the difference between real justice and frontier justice. And the end of the movie, there's your frontier justice, and you're like, that was really.
Well, and they made that choice because that was the only thing they could do, right? They weren't going to survive to take her in, to get her tried. So they were going to finish what? Yeah. They could Kurt Russell started and hang her.
And they could have. And there's also the whole thing. It's like the difference between hanging someone and shooting someone.
Yeah,
too. I mean,
because the way this movie played out, for them to have shot her at the end is a letdown. For her to get away at the end is not acceptable. She has to die some way.
Yeah, but they wanted her to. They were getting. I mean, it's like I said, it's lynching, but it's a little bit of a torture kind of.
Yeah,
it could have they're gonna make her. They were gonna make her pay and suffer.
It could have been a more clever thing where she set a trap for somebody and forgot about it and got herself with it or something like that.
Yeah,
that was the kind of thing. Those are the kind of twists that I was expecting from a Tarantino movie. But because you're in such a that many people in such a cramped area, the only sleight of hand that they got away with was the coffee poisoning and the guns that they hid before everybody came in.
Yeah.
And, poor Michael Madsen, went for the one gun, and that was the end of him.
Yeah. Wasn't too subtle about it.
Yeah.
I feel like we haven't seen a good Samuel L. Jackson performance in a while. I feel like... Yeah, I mean, he's kind of playing the character he always does. Yeah, this is his comfort zone, but it was good to see him in a movie that, wasn't a Marvel movie.
I love the unnecessary slowdown of Samuel L. Jackson, where he's just all those things you're gonna trust that diabolical bitch?
Unnecessary? He was bleeding out.
But
it starts with the
Walton Goggins was speaking normally. That's the crazy part.
That was the best. What? I was so confused. I was like, is the film messing up? What is happening?
They really wanted to emphasize him saying the word diabolical.
Yeah.
Diabolical. Yeah.
It was great.
What else? Anything?
Music was awesome.
Yeah.
And that's, that's what I did for a lot of my life, was play the violin and orchestra, and I love movie music, and it's fun to see a movie with not just music that gets you from point A to point B, but actually have these kind of big sweeping themes in it. And he's kind of an old school composer for movies that really just has memorable themes in a lot of movies, and I just thought that was cool.
Yeah. Did you see Django Unchained?
Yeah.
He scored that too.
Yeah, it was cool too.
and I believe he scored The Good, the Bad,
Good, Bad,
the
the
Ugly.
Ugly. Yep, and
Like-
a lot of those spaghetti westerns he did, and he's just an awesome composer. And
But his thing with this one was, after Django Unchained came out, he said he wouldn't work with Quentin Tarantino again because Tarantino was using like older music of his as like stingers and different parts that he hadn't come up with for that movie. And Tarantino was like, "I'm really sorry, like, you know, do it the way you would do it." And he came up with this score for this movie that's totally not spaghetti western style. It's like a lot of droning noises, and it's a whole different sort of feel to it. More of that bleak winter noise.
But it's there, and it was awesome. And I feel like in so many like current movies, like music doesn't get to take a big part in it. It's either like it's a licensed soundtrack full of stuff no one wants to hear, or it's, you know, like kind of just like this here to there, kind of just kind of gets you from scene to
Background
scene
music,
music. It's not.
Yeah.
And the wind, I like not just the music, but the sound of the wind was carried throughout the movie. I like that as well.
Yep.
Sort of the isolation of it.
It was good. We'll have to see after we stop the video who can name all 8 of Quentin Tarantino's movies. If that's the way we do these. If you like the way we do these videos, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written and video reviews at dalemaxfield.com, and thanks for watching.